All right, we have Stan Yabroff in from CQG, and we're going to talk about the three different chart types, and we'll use the grains um, as an example. Okay, there's the. Should we start out with the all session July, or should we use the pit stand?
Oh, no, you can leave the all session on.
Okay.
It doesn't trade all night anyway.
All right.
Go to the bottom of your chart where the dates are, and right click and go to max compression. And then let's just go over here for a second and just, do the auto scale. Just right click and auto scale. Right click in the scale on the right where the prices are and auto scale. Okay, this is I just want to show you that this would be just the July bean contract. And as we get back here, and I can't see the dates right now, but as we get back in this area here, it's just dots. That means it's settled. It really didn't trade. And then as you get closer in, you start to get bars. And then at one point, it will become the primary contract and you'll get a lot of bars. So this is just one contract. Now, if you then put in comma DC, now can we shrink it down enough so I can see the prices on the bottom? Because I want to show them the color line at the bottom above the dates. No, the other way. So I can see the bottom of the chart. No, I'm looking for the bottom of the window where the dates are.
Okay, they're down here.
Yes, can you make the whole window small enough so I can see the dates at the bottom? Or you can shrink it from the top and pull it up either way.
Okay, there you go.
There you go, good. Okay, so if you see this line down here right above the dates, okay, that tells you what month you're on. And when you use DC, it will go until there's an actual expiration, and then it rolls to the next month. That works well in things that don't have delivery. But when you have a first notice day and you have a delivery notice, that as a speculator in particular, not as a hedger, that can get you into an area that resulted, for example, in the May expiration of the crude oil, because there was information out there that the oil companies knew, but the speculators didn't. And that was, of course, the storage situation in Cushing, Oklahoma. And so that works well. But if you have a first notice day as a speculator, once you get into first notice day, number one, you can get a delivery notice, and that causes you difficulty. I worked on the floor for many years, and we had customers that got themselves in trouble. And yeah, the first time you do it, you can usually find a very nice hedger who will take you out of your problems. Do it a second time, and you're going to pay up. So that becomes a problem with the DC. Now, when you go to comma ADC, now you're looking at active daily continuation, and here we roll basically on volume. So when the volume changes, we will then move to the other one. So you'll notice that the lines on the bottom, they're changing at a different time. So that also keeps you out of, now you're looking at, this is a crude oil. So crude oil is a little different though. Let me explain something about crude oil and cattle. And that is that both of them have their first notice day and delivery after expiration. So that behaves as if it's a cash settled contract, unless you accidentally end up with a position at expiration. And then, as we once told the rabbi in Brooklyn, you could end up with a truckload of hogs sitting outside your house. And that raises questions. So yeah, you have to be, yeah, that's the little characteristic. If you go back to soybeans, they have a delivery period, ZSE, and now this would get you out of the front month contract. Put in ADC, please. Okay, that would get you out of the contract prior to first notice day. So that's kind of the advantages, and that's also the fact that the volume drops, once you get past the first notice day, because the people there, especially the shorts, they have to, if something is exercised, and somebody's going to get assigned, and if you don't have the product, you don't want to be assigned. So the hedgers are in there, the producers are in there. In this case, the farmers are in there. General Mills, the storage facilities are in there, but the speculators should not be in there. So that's the advantage of the active daily continuation. Now there's a third one, there's a fourth one, and then there's a condition on these. The other one, you can determine yourself how many trading days before expiration you want to roll contracts. So it's kind of a hybrid for people like Judd, who doesn't like when they roll the contract sometimes. So he manually changes the contract on a date, and that's fine. If that represents roughly the same number of days before expiration every time, then he could use the adjusted and just adjust it to say 10 days before expiration, and it would roll automatically 10 days before expiration. So that's a third one, the fourth one.
And that's the beauty of using CQG, is they have all that functionality, whereas the other front ends aren't going to be able to do that for you, probably. And
then the last thing that we do that's a question, and for some reason they made it the default, and they shouldn't have. I don't know why we don't change our default. Is the equalized closes. Now, what the equalized closes, what they do, and it was really done for fixed income, for bonds and things like that, where there's huge gaps when you roll the contract, is that when you have an equalized close, it will take a look at the gap on the day that it rolls, and it will close that gap from close to open, and readjust the high, low, and close going all the way back. And it does that every time it rolls a contract. So the issue with that is that if you go down to, say, crude oil, and you do that and you go all the way back, you'll actually see crude oil go negative. That used to be a good line until last May, when it actually went negative. But no, that they never paid me to take gas. And I've been buying gas since it was 28 cents a gallon. And I know the most I ever got was a glass from the local sports team. So it works with bonds. It should not be your default. Your default should not be equalized closes for any deliverable commodity.
And to that end, I mean, I like seeing the gaps. So that's why I always look at a pit session, a day session, like in the S&Ps and everything else. And I look at the daily continuation and the active. And it pays, especially in commodities, to look at all three charts so you can see where these gaps are and the rollover gaps are, because for technical traders, it's significant. You can make a lot of money knowing where they're at.
if I can just put in there, the one reason from a strictly technical point of view, the electronic, which goes 23/7, 23/5, shows you all of the activity. But remember that the contracts and the focus of the exchange, and when they were originated, and they still are, primarily a risk management tool. And what used to be the pit hours fits what the physical market does in the physical side. It opens when the physical market opens. They set prices based on the close of the pit hours. That's why settlement is the pit close on the deliverable commodities. So
that's the high volume.
Yeah, and it's a recognition that we can look at all the technicals we want, but there's got to be fundamentals behind the movements in the market, and the pit session more closely represents the fundamental side of it, because they're the hedgers, or they're the biggest players in that time frame, and they're doing risk management against their physical, whatever it is, farming, crude oil, whatever. They're doing the physical risk management tool. Now, if just in CQG, if you happen to have a CQG and you go to setup and go to chart preferences and go to continuation, these are pretty well described right here. They are described here if you forget what we went over, but it says standard on expiration, adjusted, and then you put in the bottom, active, rollover based primarily on volume. We also can do continuation based on only 1 month. So in Novi beans, we could look at November beans, and we could look at and it would roll on the November bean. So it would go from November 19 to November 20 to November 21, but it would always be November, which for the grain people, that would be new crop. That's your biggest new crop contract. So that's also there. You can see the check for equalized close at the bottom. A couple other things, you can close that now. Okay. A couple other things that just to mention while we have on this. One thing, again, this is unique to CQG, or at least as far as I know, it's unique to CQG, is that we could go in here right now and take it off continuation, just put it on daily, and then I could put in CLE, I don't care, let's put in Z19. Type in CLE Z19. No, you have to put the whole thing in there, CLE Z19. Okay, and what we do is that you're now looking at the December contract of crude oil that expired 7 months ago. So you can go to any contract, and if you're looking at what it was looking like as an individual contract, you can type it in using a 2-digit year, and it will give you an expired contract.
All right. Well, this is great stuff, Stan. So thanks. We got to get going here.
Okay.
But you and I will come up with some more of these. And guys and gals, if you have questions, send them in and we can do more of these. Because that was a great help. I know it was a great help to me. I hope it was a great help to everybody else. So thank you for this session of Stan's Corner from CQG.
Thank you.